Hello and welcome to DST Racing Projects. I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
Now today, as you can see, we're in the workshop, but we've had a bit of a problem this week. We've had a bit of what do you call it? IT problems. So we've had troubles with GoPros and all sorts of things. So we're going to do a bit of a question and answer type thing, just as a bit of a fill-in for this week.
Is that going to be interesting, Dave?
Well, it is, isn't it?
It is, because I've got so much done in my life, bugger all the day, mind you, but so much done in my life. I think some of the questions that will be asked will provoke a bit of discussion, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, yeah. We'll give it a go, shall we?
Okay. Question one. Right, me, my background is I originate from Norfolk, where my family home is. Extended family. Most of my cousins, uncles, aunts, my grandparents and my parents were born and brought up in Norfolk. But having said that, if you were to really ask me where I'm from, I would probably say nowhere, and that's on the grounds that my father was in the Royal Air Force and we travelled the globe. We travelled the UK, settling wherever we were sent, which makes me believe in my mind that I'm not really from anywhere.
You're an oboe.
I am an oboe, but I originate from Norfolk, and that's where my family is. Where are you from, Dave?
I was going to ask you how you spell Norfolk. Is it Norfolk?
No, it's Norfolk and good, mate.
You see. You see. I knew there was different spellings to that.
Yeah.
Well, me, I've always lived within pretty much 10 miles of where we are now.
So if you can't see the cathedral, you're lost.
I am, yes.
Right.
Lincoln Cathedral. Yeah, I'm from Lincoln. My background is basically because I messed about and liked motorbikes, I wanted to be a mechanic. That was the only thing I ever wanted to be. So by the time I was old enough, that's what I got into. Pretty much that's it. Round here, lived round here, stayed round here.
Yeah. Well, for me, being in Lincolnshire started when I was 10 years old, when Father was posted to RAF Waddington, and
Bloody Vulcans.
Bloody Vulcans, yeah. And we didn't live at Waddington, we lived out in a suburb of the city of Lincoln itself, where there were Royal Air Force married quarters which served Waddington, Scampton and Coningsby.
Where was that?
Birchwood, just here.
Oh, of course it is, yeah. Idiot.
We lived not a stone's throw from where I live now. Again, Dad got posted. From there we went down to Devon, but ended up again back in Norfolk and all over the place. But because I went to school here, I still had a lot of friends in Lincoln, and decided to find a job here and work here, which is what I did. And that was 30 odd years ago, so I'm still here. Again, that was well, two reasons, three really, I suppose. One was I had an uncle that was into vintage motorcycles. He restored vintage bikes, things like, I mean, the one I always remember was a 1932 BSA 500V twin with a sidecar on, that he used to pop about on quite a lot.
That'd be worth a bob or two now.
It would be. I know exactly where it is as well. And my initial involvement, me personally, with motorcycles was a necessity to get to work. I had a really fancy machine. It was a Mobilette Supermatic.
Oh, suit you, sir.
It was. It had a twin seat, a passenger seat on it, so it was the most unreliable heap of
something
modern day contraption I ever came across. It was that reliable that 3 or 4 weeks after I'd had it and I kept breaking down and whatnot, I went and bought a brand new Push MS50D.
Wow.
The Flying Cucumber, as it was called. I can find a picture of one. In fact, Oxford Classic Honda, if you look on their webpage for sale, they have got one, but the guy that owns the company has got one, and it's not for sale. So if you ever look on there, there's one on there. From that point on, it was again necessity of getting backwards and forwards to work. From then on, we were stationed, Dad was stationed at RAF Coltsall in Norfolk, and given my age, I used to knock around with a few of the RAF lads, and they all had bikes, which is where my first real bike came from, a Honda SS125, which I still have, which Dave and I restored a couple of years ago.
Well, we finished it a couple of years ago, but we really started it 5 odd years ago.
5 odd years ago, yeah. But we restored it.
We always work at speed.
Yeah.
We're not sure what the speed is,
but
it's always at a speed, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Anyway, I still got the bike, and it's now finished and up and running. I paid 40 quid for it in 1974.
You spent more money on it this time.
Yeah. I'm not going to publish that. But that's how I got into bikes.
We might be able to put a picture or two up of that bike.
We can.
Yeah, we'll do that. Now me, when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, maybe 12 or 13, got given a bike as a sort of field bike, and I rode it a lot until basically it died, and then sort of looked around for another one. It was a James, James motorbike. I think it was a 197 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And used that for quite a long time. And then I say it died. I think the gearbox played up. And to be fair, I thought it's only a gearbox. We take that to bits and repair it. But I took the cover off it, and it was like full of springs. It was like a watch. It just went pa-ching all over the dirt, and it never worked again. So that was gone, and I bought another one.
A bit like a Sturmey Archer 3-speed.
Oh yeah, it just destroyed itself all over the place. So that got scrapped, and then got another one. But sort of at that time, I'd moved from Bracebridge Heath down to Washington, and got a job. I think I was nearly 15, my first job. So I cycled at that time into work, into Lincoln every day. And then as soon as I was old enough to get a motorbike, I got a bike for the road. I can't remember, it was like a Bantam or something like that, which I run to and from work. And then as I got a few more quid in my pocket, I decided that I was going to buy myself something decent. So I bought myself a 250 Benelli.
Funny that.
Yeah. So I bought this 250 Benelli, a nice green one, N registered, and had it for, I don't know, a year and a half, and then good old Italian electrics, it died, and it wouldn't start, it would never go. So eventually sort of messed about with it and decided at that point that I was going to build it into a racing bike and go racing. So that's how I got into bikes that way.
Now, my profession is agricultural engineering, and I don't know how it happened, but I ended up working at Caythorpe Agricultural College in Lincolnshire. I'm not really sure. I think I went there. I really don't know. I think I went there to do some teaching practice or something and never left. Probably 27 years later I was still there. But obviously I was heavily involved with the engineering workshops and student life and teaching and that sort of thing. But as is everything else, all these facilities need maintenance, and some of the things that we couldn't maintain ourselves, like the heating systems, the electrical systems and all that within the building. But Dave turned up one day to sort out the boiler. And
they were blown out, the pneumatics, weren't they?
Well, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were up in the roof, weren't they? Yeah.
So I ended up there going to the company I work for doing the repairs and boiler servicing at Caythorpe College, and that's where I met Steve. And he's a biker, I'm a biker. It didn't take too long that we got chatting about bikes.
In fact, we probably spent more time chatting about bikes than we did boilers. But...
Yeah. Anyway, so we got chatting that day, and then I think the years went by. We sort of always chatted and had a brew and what have you. And then you went from there to Rhizome
College, yeah.
Which I was still servicing all the boilers at Rhizome, and we bumped into each other again there. And then up till the point I left the company I was working for then, and Steve obviously still stayed there, and literally me and the missus were going out for a walk in the park, and as we was walking back, you was walking into the park with Dylan the dog.
Yep.
And that's how we met up again. And it might have been 5 or 6 or 7 years afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how we met again. And this has led to what we're doing now.
For me, it's got to be my little Honda 125, my little SS 125. It's my favourite simply because it's the first bike I ever bought. Ultra reliable, never let me down. Well, I say never let me down. There was a gnashing and wailing of valve and piston one day, but hey, I can live with that. Other than that, it was a workhorse. No matter what was in the garage, if I was going anywhere, I always took that one. It used to take me from where I lived in RAF Swanton Morley down to Southend in Essex every other week to go and see the wife before we were married, and it would quite happily bumble along at 60 mile an hour and return 120 miles to the gallon. Quite happy with that. It just grows on you. It's my favourite bike that I've owned. I've had several since. My heart got the better of my brain one day and I bought a Ducati Monster. Fine, lovely piece of a kit, but not for me anymore. Too long in the tooth for that sort of thing.
Mine's a bit sort of crossed edge really, because road bikes and racing bikes.
Yeah.
Racing bikes got to be my 350D, like this one. It was a brilliant bit of kit. I loved that bike. Road bikes, I've had too many, far too many road bikes. I've still got my old FJ 1200, which is in the other part of the workshop.
Well, we'll be doing some stuff to that.
Well, we're going to do some stuff to that.
Yeah.
I've got the carburetors need sorting out on that, so at some point we'll drag that in here, or I'll drag the carburetors out and I need to do a rebuild.
We'll bring it in.
Need to do a rebuild on that. And then you see, that was a funny old thing, because at the point I bought that one, I'd got about 3 or 4 FJ 1200s at the time, and I bought for bits, and it ended up as a bike. I rebuilt it completely, but I went a bit mad and spent far too much money, far too much money on building it, and yeah, I keep that one. I love me little Benelli. I've still got a 250 Benelli. Causes too much pain, but never mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I suppose you mentioned that you bought your FJs for bits and built another one. It's the same with my little SS125. I knew right from early on there weren't that many about, so whenever I came across one that had been broken or rotting in a field, I bought it, stripped off the good bits, and ended up with lots of bits and pieces left.
Which was good, really, because that's how we built it back up.
Yeah. So and I've still got lots of bits and pieces. So hopefully I shouldn't have to buy any more.
No.
Not that you can find much for them anymore, but there you go.
Never owned. Come on, Steve.
Well, yeah. I've got a list as long as your arm.
I've got very short arms.
Yeah, you've got very short arms.
Big belly and short arms.
Yeah. I think I'll tell you why this is my favourite bike I've never owned. I mentioned that I got into biking through knocking about with the lads at RAF Cultural, the RAF lads. When I first met them, the majority of them had Yamaha CS5Es, the 200s.
Oh right, yeah.
And they were lovely little bikes, but they progressed onto Yamaha YR5s. And at one point there was 3 of them, all exactly the same colour, the orange and black or gold and black. And I spent a lot of time as a passenger on them, and I kind of fell in love with them. I keep asking the wife if I could have another one.
You ought. Don't tell her. Just buy one.
I think she might notice.
Well, you can always hide it somewhere.
Where? What, here?
Either way. Not mention that.
Either way, I've always hankered after one. I know where there is one if I want one, but I've always hankered after one. That's a road bike. I think if it was a race bike, it would be. I have, for some unknown reason, I like the smaller race bikes, and if I could get my hands on one of the 5-cylinder 125 Hondas from the 60s, I'd be in my element. But I don't even know where there is one.
The thing is, Steve,
I think Honda have probably got one.
The thing is, Steve, you'd have to win the lottery 2 or 3 times to be able to afford to buy one.
Find one.
Find one or buy one.
I think there's one in Honda's museum in Mategi.
Yes, I'm sure there is. Me, favourite bike, because I had a little Benelli 250 2-stroke. I first came across the Benelli 906 6-cylinder, and if
they made a 750 of that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. But it'd be nice if Neil could find a little clip of a 6-cylinder being revved up, because by God, the sound of them are just awesome. So that would do me for that. Favourite race bike? Another Italian one?
Yeah.
Would have to be MV 500 MV Agusta.
4-cylinder 500?
Yeah. They sound beautiful. I remember going to Cadwell back in the early 70s, and Agostini being at Cadwell Park, racing around Cadwell Park on one, and the noise within the trees of anybody that's ever been to Cadwell Park will know, it just sounded unbelievably brilliant. That it was like, I really quite like one of those, but the chances are 0. They're about like your 504. But yeah, that would be
5.5.
yeah, yeah, that would do me. But yeah, again, far too far out of my price range.
Is that why we're deaf, Dave?
What? Yeah, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I mean, I spent a lot of my time hanging over the pit wall, and when you've got 36 screaming TZs disappearing off in a direction, they're fairly loud.
Oh yeah,
they're fairly loud.
Yeah. You've repeated that since, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Pembrey.
Yes, I did.
Not Pembrey, Anglesey.
Anglesey. But the good news is,
we have some biscuits.
We always have biscuits. Go on.